All right, welcome to this week's edition of the Career Networking Center Conversation. Today we're joined with Kim White, Executive Director of CNC, and two of the great coaches, Jim and Jack from the CNC. Today's topic is preparing for that interview. Jim, let me start with you. Today, so many interviews are on video, whereas they used to be always in person. How should someone prepare for that video interview compared to the in-person interview?
Yeah. So first thing is if the company sends you a Zoom link, or something like that, you can actually go on early even though they're not there. So test the link, make sure it works. Also make sure your computer is connecting correctly. The other really important thing is to look at yourself and your background and make sure that the lighting is good. Make sure there's nothing distracted. I remember talking with somebody that they were in a room and they had a ceiling fan right over their head and it's going like that. And I'm thinking, propeller head. So make sure there's nothing kind of distracting in your background, but there's good lighting. Like if you look at my background right now, there's some personal stuff in the background, and I would get rid of that so it's not distracting. So just make sure you have you test it, you get good lighting, there's no distractions, and that your internet speed is good enough so that your video isn't jerky or something like that.
Yeah, I just want to add real quick, if you don't mind. I think when you're checking your background, one of the things that a client should do is also look at who they're going to be interviewing with. So you're looking at, you're checking out the person's background on LinkedIn. If you can find something that there's some sort of connection, like you found out that this person went to the Ohio State University, right? If you have some sort of connection, make sure you put that in your background. That's a great talking point. So try to find some sort of connection with the folks that you're going to be interviewing with that they may ask about, or you may be able to point out.
And Jack, these days, so many companies are more casual than they were in the past. What do you tell clients when they ask you, how should I dress for my interview?
I think it's best to dress up for success always. That's an old school rule, but I'm an old school guy. I wouldn't suggest you have to wear a tie or anything. That may be, a little bit too old school, but certainly a nice dress shirt, particularly on Zoom. And I agree wholeheartedly with what Jim said. The background's important, to have a well-lit, clear of personal items background. But I think you always dress for success. And certainly you want to make sure that you would wear the same clothes you would wear if it was an in-person interview. That'd be my recommendation.
Jim, how important do you think it is to practice before going into an interview?
Oh, yeah. I tell clients, interviewing is not like riding a bicycle. You actually will fall off. If you haven't done it in a while, you'll fall off. So it's think of yourself as professional athletes practice all the time.
Yeah.
And you should do the same thing in a job search. Pretend you're a professional athlete, practice every day.
Kim, if someone becomes a CNC member, how many times can they practice as a member?
I hope they would practice every day. We don't limit the number of coaching conversations you can have. The only thing we ask is you schedule them one at a time. So finish one. So I would hope they would finish an practice interview with me today, and then immediately schedule one with Jack for tomorrow.
Yeah. And I would agree. We have a number of coaches with great backgrounds. So practice with, different coaches and get their different, perspective on the interview. I think, to something that Jim said, it's really important that clients, when they're going through that process, that you, at the end of the day, you may apply to 20 jobs and you get one interview. So you need to be able to ace that interview. And if you are not practicing, that's you can fall off the bicycle, as Jim said. So don't, think you've got this. Sit and meet with one of our coaches and make sure you get that help you need.
Jack, I've heard about the STAR method and just preparing stories for interviews. Can you talk a little bit about how you coach people to prepare stories in the interview?
I always tell my clients to be prepared for behavioral-based questions. Those questions, the interviewer is trying to get an idea of how you behaved in the past under certain situations. the best way to answer a behavioral-based question, and typically they'll start out with, tell me about a time when you X.
Mhm.
We recommend you use the STAR method, which is describing a situation that you were involved with, the task that you performed, not the team, the task that you performed, the action that you took, and the result. I think that's the best way to respond to those behavioral-based questions, because it allows you to engage in more of a conversation with the interviewer that becomes more in your control as opposed to his or her control.
Yeah,
Okay.
and can I just add something to that? I think as you're responding to those, I think the other thing to keep in mind is you want to be, straight to the point. You don't want your responses to be 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. It's too long. So make sure you practice those questions, and that you're able to respond to those questions within, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Do not prolong those answers.
Very good. I'll open up this last one for any of you. What else does Career Networking Center do to help clients prepare for the interview?
In addition to, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Jack.
No, in addition to mock interviews, I've found that sometimes the nervous jitters become a role in a person's interviewing, and it's good to have a coach just to talk to. It doesn't have to be about specifically interviewing. It can be talk about anything related to job search. I find clients find that to be of some comfort in helping them get prepared for an interview.
Yeah, and I will just add, I think the other benefit is body language. We really don't know how we come across in an interview, especially on Zoom. Are we darting our eyes? Are we sighing? Are we making noises? Like, what are some of those things that are doing? So being able to have somebody to be able to say, you're darting your eyes, or you're whatever that might be. It's good to go through that practice with the coach.
Anyone else? Any final thoughts? Well, if you are looking for help with interview,
practice.
we're all saying practice. And if you'd like help practicing or anything else in your preparation for interviewing, we hope you'll reach out to the Career Networking Center. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.